Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming today on our panel on GenAI in sales and customer experience. My name is Zissis Konstas, and I'm a customer engineer in Google Cloud, where I help organizations and companies digitally transform their business using data, analytics, and AI. I've been at Google for 8 years, and I've had different roles in solution engineering and product management. I'm very excited to have 3 amazing speakers today, where they represent different views from the technology ecosystem and in IT infrastructure and industry solutions. We have Efthimios from Netcompany-Intrasoft, where he's a director in the AI Center of Excellence. Then Achilles from Snowflake, strategic account director. And Fotis, who's been at Microsoft for more than 20 years and had roles in sales, product and partner management, among others. So with that, I'll give you an opportunity to introduce yourselves further. Efthimios?
Okay, I'm working in Netcompany-Intrasoft for about 30 years now. I have been in various positions, from developer to project manager to director. All these years I have been working mostly with public sector, but I have always a keen interest in artificial intelligence since my studies in the MSc was in artificial intelligence some 30 years ago. And I'm just still keep following the technologies. Right now, in Netcompany, I am heading the AI Center of Excellence, which is a team from all departments that is also very keen in exploring AI technologies and building solutions.
Hi, everyone. I'm Achilles Georginis. I work for Snowflake. I'm a strategic account director. I've been with the company for about 2 years, and I am currently studying for my executive master's degree at the Oxford Said Business School. I am also the vice chair for AI for the Hellenic Tech Network, which is a think tank and organization that brings technology professionals together, specifically Greeks of the diaspora in London. My main role, let's say, is to actually make sure that my clients and whoever is engaging with Snowflake is actually seeing value from their AI workloads, which I think is quite difficult, as AI has become something of a recent topic over the last year, although it's been around for a really long time. So I focus on making sure that our customers see real value, real dollars, pounds, euros from their technical workloads when it comes to AI.
Hi, everyone. I'm Fotis. This year, it's my 25th year with Microsoft. And thanks for joining the discussion with us. I'm part of EMEA team, Europe, Middle East, and Africa, with around 20 salespeople that we manage the best startups and unicorns that run on Microsoft Azure and AI. And my relationship with GenAI and sales started, I guess, last year. I was part of a small team in the company where we were asked to define the strategy that our sales team worldwide should follow on how to use GenAI to speed up sales.
Great. Thank you very much, Fotis. With that, let's jump into the first topic of discussion, which is use cases. So GenAI has the ability to completely transform sales and customer experience. And one of the main reasons we want to highlight is because of its emerging and innovative capabilities. So one of those is multimodal. What that means is that GenAI models can both process and generate not only text, as we have seen in chatbots, but also audio, video, and images. So these capabilities can completely transform sales processes and customer experience. And also another capability is that GenAI models can be used to create consumer-facing new products that transform the customer experience, but also bots that help and agents that assist people in sales and customer experience. With that, Efthimios, can you give us some examples of how GenAI can transform the sales process and the customer experience functions of an organization?
Yes, I would like to start some months earlier when ChatGPT became prominent in our lives. At the time, myself, among others, believed that this would be the end of Google. From now on, nobody could Google from some information, but they would just ask a question to ChatGPT, and presto, the answer is there. This is the answer to my question. Not much later, it was obvious that this was not the case. ChatGPT produced many errors in the responses. So it was obvious that for knowledge reasons, it was not very good. On the other hand, it was excellent in reasoning, in cognitive capabilities, thinking, reasoning, doing things. Based on these extensive cognitive capabilities, the IT community, began to build applications on top of ChatGPT and other LLMs that became prominent from then on, named LLM applications. These applications have, using the cognitive capabilities of LLMs, they use the LLMs to reason and act. They're able to use the LLM as an engine to perform various tasks. So this is a kind of applications that will, I think, dominate the future. And the simplest of these applications is what we call retrieval augmented generation. A simple to describe how it works, but very difficult to implement correctly, which are actually applications that are using the knowledge of an organization together with the cognitive power of LLMs in order to produce responses to complex user queries as opposed to existing chatbots that are very simple in what they can do, and they can mostly respond to some FAQ queries. So, as a Netcompany, you have also a product like this one, an RAG application called Easily, that we are using to help our customers create POCs. Actually, we have about a list of 30 customers right now that are asking for this. This means that there is a great demand in the market for POCs, at least at this early stage, early level of customer engagement through the virtual agent. I like mostly to use virtual agent as a term rather than chatbot. That shows that it's a bit simple as an application. We saw yesterday at the minister's demonstration that MyGov is already using an application like this one. Citizens are customers as well, customers of the government. So, and we also saw a demonstration about the next step that I'm talking about, that would be the applications that not only give information based on documentation, but also act on the data. For example, in the near future, technology is there, customers are not yet ready, I think. Many transactions that are done now through applications, like web banking, for example, will be able to be done through virtual agents. The future of user interface will not be to click on buttons and enter text fields. It will be on describing with natural language what you want to do, and the virtual agent will take whatever is needed to complete your task. A simple example of this one was yesterday demonstrated by the minister for the next version of MyGov, where you can, just by asking for a birth certificate, or a marriage certificate, get from the system the certificate.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Efthimios. Achilles, what's your perspectives?
Right, I think a lot of the people in this room will also agree with me. The use cases when we see in sales and customer experience, I think personally, have to be communicated around how do we generate value from a technology like GenAI. There are, I would say, more than 150 different use cases that a business, whether that's B2B or B2C, can generate and leverage AI to bring business value. Not just at Snowflake, but personally, I'm a very big fan of actually the use case driving the technology and not the other way around. I feel that with all the hype that has been happening in the last year, everybody wants to jump on having an artificial intelligence strategy, but doesn't even have a data strategy in place. I think the most important thing is to be able to identify what are the business needs that sales and customer experience needs to actually focus on and needs to solve. What are the problems there? What I've seen with my customers across a lot of verticals, whether that's finance, whether that's marketing, whether that's sales, whether that's customer experience, in industries like financial services, in industries like telecom, in industries like retail or hospitality, are numerous. So I'll give you an example on one use case for the retail sector. I think the retail sector is extremely interested and focused on increasing sales by actually having customers buy as many products as possible, whether that's clothes or whether that's merchandise. The applications of AI are massive. One of them that you can actually deploy on, it's actually a very prominent one, is the propensity for someone to buy a product, or the ability to be able to suggest to a customer which product is most relevant to them. I'm sure you all get Instagram ads or other ads that are extremely personalized to your liking, and you realize, wow, how does an advertiser know so much about me and knows exactly what I want to buy? There's other use cases that we can look at from a B2B perspective, and also B2C in some cases. And from a B2B perspective is, let's take telecoms, for example. Telecommunications companies have big SLAs, service level agreements, with other big companies where they need to be able to monitor their network and make sure that they inform their customers within a specific period of time when their network is down. If you do that within a specific time and it's over your agreed SLA, then that company will be subject to millions of dollars or euros of fines. So it's extremely important that companies are able to use AI to be able to monitor and predict any faults are happening to their network. How's that relevant to customer experience? Well, if you are a company or you're selling network services, for example, you need to make sure that your network is up 99% of the time. That has a complete and straightforward correlation with how your customer is experiencing your service. There are other examples that you can use when it comes to sales and marketing, where GenAI and AI in general can definitely provide operational efficiencies, but actually increase growth, reduce churn, and decrease costs. I think that from a financial services perspective, there's use cases such as being able to detect fraud. A lot of the companies right now are using either external applications or they're doing a lot of manual labor to be able to identify fraud. That has a cost to the business. And GenAI and AI in general is a great opportunity for those businesses to be able to apply those LLM models through chatbots or ML functions and AI models to be able to understand if a transaction is fraudulent or not. We have a big problem right now with AI where it's really a black box. You don't really know what is happening within the model. So what's happening is that you have a lot of false positives and false negatives. We need to be able to get the AI and the technology right to be able to deliver on that business value from a fraudulent activity. So you can understand that you have a customer that actually has not made a transaction. It seems like a fraudulent transaction, and we need the businesses to be able to use and leverage the technology to provide that customer experience. One last thing. In order for you to be able to apply those use cases when it comes to sales and customer experience, you need to be able to have something that we call a customer 360. You're not able to give a personalized experience when it comes to new products. You're not able to give the best service to your customers, but also at the same time create cross-sell and upsell opportunities when it comes to those use cases without knowing everything about your customer. And that all starts by combining all of your customers' data under one single source of truth. That's what we do at Snowflake. So you have a single source of truth, you have all of your data about the customer in one place, and then you're able to create reports or analytics and know anything about what your customer like, what they don't like, so that you can then create those upselling and cross-selling opportunities to increase your growth and reduce your churn, create more customer retention. So I think if anybody wants to look up for all those use cases, there are numerous of them. I think the most important thing is have a customer 360, get all of your data under one platform or single source of truth, and then start asking the question, okay, why do I want to do this use case? How is that going to increase my growth? How is that going to reduce my churn? How do I retain my customers?
Thank you very much, Helias. Yeah, that's a customer 360 and fraud detection, one of the biggest problems we see as well. Like all customers ask it, so I also think like GenAI will transform those functions. With that, Fotis, what are your thoughts about use cases and examples?
So Zissis, I will focus on sales. So if the question is, can GenAI speed up sales? I have 5 examples that I picked from the past 15 months, internally from the company or outside from partners and customers. Example number 1. In my team, we have 1,000 startups that we manage in Europe. And what we want to do is we want to upsell to them new cloud workloads. So normally we go out and we send an email that, dear customer, if you use 1, 2, 3, then you might be interested in using 4, 5, 6. These are the benefits, and let's have a call with a cloud architect to discuss this. And this actually takes something like 10 minutes to write. So 1,000 startups multiplied by 10 minutes, 10,000 minutes. I created a custom GPT bot, and we automated actually the creation of these emails. So, instead of spending 10,000 minutes to send all of these emails, it's now something like, 1/15 of that time. So it speeds up the communication time for upselling to customers. Example number 2. In sales, we use all the time our CRMs. So internally at the company, we have our own CRM. And we get questions as salespeople all the time, like, what is the stage of this opportunity? Who is in the core team? What is the pipeline? What are the comments from the engineers in this opportunity, etc. What we did is that we integrated GenAI inside the CRM. So now we have a copilot running together with our CRM, and we can ask questions to it. It summarizes the information from opportunities, and we can easily copy-paste, send it via email, or find stuff that it would need 12 clicks to find them and waiting 3 minutes in the CRM to find this type of information. Again, it saves time from the everyday business. Example number 3, it comes from a customer from Romania. They have sales agents communicated with customers. And they are a startup, and what they do is they do real-time voice-to-text analysis. So whenever a customer does a question, the sales agent gets suggestions on possible answers. So these guys, they get the voice, they translate it to text, then they search the frequently asked questions from the database or the questions from the same day, and they pose 2, 3 possible answers to help the sales agents provide faster and better answers to their customers. Example number 4, simplistic but effective. A friend of mine, he has a startup and he's selling to several countries, including US. His English is not perfect, so he was trying to craft answers in the way he could. Using the copilot inside, the Outlook or the email system, he told me that he got surprised by how much better the communication and the sales cycle improved with US customers once he started to use GenAI to automatically produce answers to the questions he got from US customers. And the last example comes from an experiment we ran last year. So we had several partners and sales people trying to upsell products to customers. And they were keeping all the comments about the interactions with the customers in an Excel file, not in a CRM, it was in an Excel. So there were something like, I don't know, several hundred of comments. And what we did is we got all of these comments and we gave them to a GenAI bot. And we made the following questions. First, please summarize the comments and try to put them in 5 different clusters. So the system actually did it pretty well. So it told us, look, you have 5 key issues here. Customers complain about how difficult it is to do the migration. Some others have things about pricing, etc. And then we said, okay, now please provide to us some recommendations on how to address these 5 key clusters and what our salespeople could reply to customers regarding all of these 5 clusters. And we got pretty good suggestions, actually around 80% valid from the check we did.
Great, thank you very much. Yeah, these are some super strong use cases that council of organizations gonna jump on. So moving to the second topic, I'm going to go a bit like more high level now. So we talk a lot about GenAI models. So models are the tip of the iceberg. So in order to implement a model, an organization needs to focus on be enterprise ready, focus on their IT infrastructure, make sure they have a robust data foundation. So with that, Efthimios, what are the key components for an organization to implement a solid data-driven and AI-based strategy in order to create these use cases we just talked about?
Okay, as I told you earlier, I'm in this business about 30 years now. I have seen transformations from paper to client-server, then from client-server to web applications, then from web now into LLM applications. All these years, the most successful transformations were the ones that the customer first of all, was educated. Because these technologies, as they are innovative, people are not very aware of what they can do and what they cannot do. They're probably deep into hype. So our approach is, first of all, to sit together with a customer and make a high level, but substantial training on what these technologies can do, what they cannot do, what are the limitations, so as to set targets feasible and straight. We have to sit together with them to explain them what is an LLM, what is a cloud-based LLM, what are the costs of it, what is a customer-based LLM, what are the costs again for GPU hardware that is needed, etc. What his needs and his privacy requirements are best suited for, etc. So there's a big discussion we have to do with the customer together with educating him, and also check and discuss, evaluate the data, as you said earlier correctly. Customers' data are of high importance in order to get into this journey with correct targets. From then on, our suggestion in general is for a customer that want to get into GenAI to start low. Start with a virtual agent that is capable of querying the documentation of the organization to support customers or the internal employees, for example, for HR processes. The RAG application I told you earlier, that is very suitable these days, and everybody asks for it. And then, as he gets familiarized with this new way of doing things, to expand, scale with more complex applications using LLMs acting on their data. This is what we suggest.
Makes sense. Thank you very much. Yes, and also a lot of the providers right now, they create out-of-the-box solutions to solve the use case you just mentioned about easily be able to search internal documentation or even external and create both search and chatbot experience for retrieval that decrease the time to value.
Yes, just again, not because you said easy. As also our friend from Ubitech said yesterday, it sounds easy. It's difficult for Greek language. Definitely is difficult. So it's a simple implementation, but difficult to achieve the results.
Definitely. Okay, so Achilles, what are your thoughts?
Right. I mean, I've been asked this question almost daily, and really, I do enjoy giving this answer. So it's a multi-possibility answer, but I'm just trying to make it as simple and as value-based as possible. So what are the biggest problems that a business has when it comes to data? And that's data governance. A lot of the businesses don't know where their data is sitting. You're transferring Excel files from one place to another. There's a lot of duplicates. There's a lot of misalignment when it comes to your data. So if you're asking me how you're going to create a data strategy, I would suggest first to get a chief data officer. If you can't afford or you're too small of a business to get a chief data officer, then hire a data architect and a data engineering team. If you can't afford to do that, you then have to rely on system integrators that have experience with managing your data and data pipelines. That is the very basic, at the very minimum. Why do you need those people, and why do you need a data strategy? Well, how is a business supposed to be able to make fast and quick decision-making without the right data in place? We have a saying in data engineering, data science space, garbage in, garbage out. If you put in data that doesn't really make sense, it's inaccurate, it's outdated, there's duplications of it, and you put it into a data pipeline, you don't even have a data warehouse, how are you supposed to create reports that are going to talk about your customers when it comes to churn, when it comes to their propensity to buy, when it comes to what other products can I upsell or cross-sell to them to bring it back to the sales and customers experience. So one thing that we understand at Snowflake, but in general, that is a motto into the industry, is you need to be able to understand where your data is sitting. You need to be able to have the right people in the right places, and that's a data engineering team and a data architect that'll be able to understand the landscape of your data estate. And then what you need to be able to do is to be able to feed all of that data and those different data silos into one single source of truth. At Snowflake, that would be the data cloud. 10 years ago, that would be a cloud data warehouse. You need to be able to break down those silos and have all of the information that you have about your customers, that customer 360 that I just mentioned before, in order for you to have a complete picture of your customers, so that your business units like marketing, like sales, like operations are going to be able to provide the service that is different to your competitor, and it actually is going to increase your retention of your customers and increase your growth. So you get the right people in the right places. You create a single source of truth where all of your different applications or your different data are under one place. And that's quite easy for your teams then to start querying those data. And with the help of AI, you don't even need to use coding anymore, right? It's become so easy to be able to see, like with Streamlit and LLMs.
And get the insights.
Right,
from the data.
Right, you can ask questions and find out, okay, why, how many How many dollars has this customer spent on this particular aspect of the product? Or how many customer complaints have we had from this customer? What exactly is it that is our highest complaint from a customer? What is that? So then you start getting those analytics and that value, and then you start moving your product, your sales campaigns, your marketing personalization to increase growth. So I think that having everything under one single source, like one of the biggest examples, and I don't want to make this answer too long, one of the biggest problems that companies have right now is that their billing systems and their CRM or their Salesforce are showing it two different pictures. So the CRM is saying that a customer X has bought this, but the billing system is billing them a different amount. And that, as you can understand, can have a massive impact to the customer experience. So you need all those systems to be able to talk the same language and have that single source of truth, the customer 360, that'll be able to get the business forward. And that's the differentiate companies from competition. So get your data right, get a data governance, get the right people, and make sure that you do this in the most efficient way. One thing, and I'm going to close. There's two options that you can do this. It's either a build-it-your-own approach, where you have your team use different applications and different methods to be able to build your data strategy, or you can go into an all-inclusive service like Snowflake, for example, where you don't have to worry about maintenance, you don't have to worry about operational efficiencies. It's a software as a service where you also are sharing the responsibility of your security of your data, right? Once you have a strong data governance, you ensure that your data is also very secure. And that is also something that your customers value very, very much, and is not going to impact your balance sheet at the end of the day with massive fines because you don't know where your data is sitting or your customer's data is sitting.
Thank you very much, Achilles. So, and the main takeaway from what Achilles said is everybody's talking about AI, but when the rubber meets the road, it's all about data. So
exactly.
Think about how many times he mentioned the word data versus AI, but because this is what actually will enable to create these AI applications. Fotis, what are your thoughts?
I will try and address the sales part because I'm more experienced on that. So I will try to reply to how can we infuse GenAI in a sales team to speed up sales. So a methodology that seems to be working for us at least is the following. The first step, what is the main challenge? The main challenge is that salespeople are super busy. You cannot go there with theory. They need to save time. Time is money for them. So you need to be super careful with this tribe inside your company. Okay, you cannot experiment too much with salespeople. So here is a methodology. First step, you go to the problem space. You find a small win. You need to prove to your salespeople that this thing is going to work. So you don't go for a super big project with everything. Try to find something fast that will make their lives easier. Step number 2 is that you start with out-of-the-box GenAI functionality to get them used to it. So, for example, you can use Teams GenAI to summarize calls or make questions to it. You can use, productivity products to generate emails or whatever, or third-party GenAI applications that can help them, like the Copilot in CRM or something like that. So out-of-the-box functionality, you don't build anything on your own. The third thing is that usually you need an internal champion inside the sales team. So somebody who really loves new technology, he's your ally inside the sales team, and he or she is going to disseminate all information to the rest of the team. You need a super fanatic fan. And the next step is that you start building a model for sales, but an easy one. For example, nowadays, in 5 minutes, you can upload 100 product catalogs, sales product catalogs, in OpenAI on your data, for example, and create automatically a chatbot with search functionality where a salesperson can do comparisons of products or make questions to all the product catalogs and information from the database. It's not going to play perfect, obviously. It's not optimized, but this is very fast and cheap to develop. And if you see that this type of functionality really is appreciated and accepted by the sales team, then you go with the toughest part, that is to create something customized, very optimized with your own people, with your own engineers, as my colleagues have mentioned, or with an external team.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Fotis. So up to now, we have talked a lot about technology, about organization change, but let's go and see what are the challenges for implementing these solutions for sales and customer experience. So one major issue that GenAI models now face, probably have heard of it, is the concept of hallucination. So that's the concept where you ask a model a question and provides an answer that might be incorrect, or might be partial, or might be biased. So there's a lot of, and this is super problematic for all industries, and especially if you think about it for regulated industries, privacy-focused industries, for example, like healthcare is one example. And one way to mitigate this is with the concept of grounding, where models provide not only the answer, but also a source of how this answer is produced. So this is one of the reasons that creates challenges. But with that, Achilles, what are some challenges that you foresee when it comes to adoption of these solutions from the different teams in sales and the customer experience?
Right. I'm going to start with a statistic. I talked about before on how do we get ready to adopt an AI strategy, which is getting your data right first, right? 80% of AI models don't see the light of day, and I think the average cost is about $1.5 million, and it depends on the company, because 84% of a data scientist or an ML engineer's time is spent on trying to find the data, clean it, and then insert it into an ML model. And then you have the black box problem where you don't really know in real time, and there's a lot of observability platforms right now that are trying to solve this problem. You don't know what the model is doing to be able to produce the results. So it's not like you can go in and intervene into the model and say, well, you're doing this wrong, you should be able to fix it. The more the data and the more accurate the data is that go into an AI model, the better the results of that AI model. So if we're looking at ChatGPT right now, it's the strongest LLM system right now in the world with the biggest variety of data. And you still see that in a lot of occasions, you see it having problems providing real accurate answers. I think we are in a very early stage right now, but I think the most important thing is you need to be able to fit the models with the right data. And that is only when you have one single source of truth, and that's only when you start consolidating all of your applications and all of your systems data so that model can actually perform well. We have a thing at Snowflake which we say bring the work into the data and not the data into the work. So our platform, the way that it works is that you can actually deploy LLM models or Streamlit applications or using Python. You're able to run those AI models and actually showcase those use cases. I think that what we really need to be careful of is making sure, and I think I mentioned it before, you need the use case to be able to run the technology and not to use AI just for the sake of using AI. These AI workloads are extremely data and performance intensive. You're putting your teams and your technology teams and the rest of the organization into a lot of strain, and you're using a lot of resources trying to use something just because it's hyped. if we're looking at sales and customer experience use cases, we need to understand, okay, well, why do I need to use an LLM, a chatbot? I need to understand more about my customers and their customer experience. So what I want to do is I want to start counting down on how many complaints they have, what is the biggest complaint that they have, try to attract data about my products and try to make them better. So once I get that data, then it's how I'm feeding that to the data scientists and the ML engineering teams to be able to produce AI models that can actually help me deal with those issues. So I think it's a fundamental data governance issue. One thing that I missed before, and I think it's also very important to mention, is 83%, I think, of global companies, at least in Western Europe and the US, have migrated to the cloud. I don't personally think, and I think that's the consensus, that you can have a data AI-driven strategy without being on the cloud. Of course, you can have on-premise systems, legacy systems that you might need for regulatory purposes, but a lot of companies need to be able to have the agility of the cloud first and then leverage that to be able to drive their AI models. I think you can agree with me that because they are so performance and data intensive, you need to be able to have a platform or a tool to be able to deliver those AI models and the right team to be able to observe and train those AI models. So you don't want to have a garbage in, garbage out strategy.
Absolutely. And then these very high demands require the key benefits of cloud, like managed services, scalability, high availability. It becomes extremely hard to do something on-prem. So yeah, I can agree with you more.
And if I can add something, it's about security as well. You need to be able to make sure that your data is secured. So if you don't have data accountability on your models, you don't know where your data is going, you don't know how that model is using your customers' data, you need to be able to make sure that you have a complete governance of your data, and that will give you data security.
Perfect. Thank you, Achilles. Now I'll go with Fotis. What are your thoughts?
Yes, so hallucinations is the Achilles heel of GenAI, okay?
No pun intended.
No pun intended. But if you get hallucinations, nobody's going to use the solution. Nobody, no salespeople, no customers, etc. They will disregard and dismiss whatever you build in 1 second. And it's rational. We would all do the same. So how do you tame the animal? How do you tame the LLM model? At the moment, there seem to be 2 ways that developers are trying to do that. One is prompt engineering. The second is quality control agents. I will start from prompt engineering. So developing an LLM is not linear programming. It's a black box. You give an input, and you don't know exactly the output. You cannot control it. So you can only guess. So it's hacking programming, okay? So we are trying here, the developers are trying here to invent solutions. Like, whenever I send you a prompt, I will also send you 4,000 words that I'm going to find from the database using embeddings, using search, using smart ways to find the appropriate 4,000 words, that they are going to be together with the prompt you are sending. You are sending a prompt of 100 words. Here's another 4,000 to help you reply in the best possible way. So they are trying super many ways to find per use case how to make the black box behave in the way they want. The second way that the developers are trying to implement is quality control agents. So basically, they are building AI assistants or a second application that is controlling the output. Let's say, for example, you give a prompt and you say, give me 200 words about what I can do one day in Athens. And I need 200 words, I need websites, and I need a timetable. You get the reply, and the reply is 120 words, and you don't have websites in it or a timetable. What you do is you have a second quality control agent that it checks the answer. If it doesn't comply with 1, 2, 3 criteria, you send it back, the prompt, you say, sorry, that wasn't the correct answer. Please go back and rewrite, give me another answer better on this criteria. So this is a way that they're trying to work around the hallucination issue.
Thank you very much. And last but not least, Efthimios.
Okay, I read your question twofold. As per the technical challenges, are mostly covered by my colleagues here. I just want to say that hallucinations, the scientific community has been exploring both fine-tuning LLMs on specific datasets in order to get information, or using retrieval-augmented generation for the same reason. Mostly, if you're using retrieval-augmented generation, you avoid hallucinations. So this is a way of using such systems with their own, of course, challenges of context window, history, etc. All this technical stuff that most of us know about. Mostly, the hallucination problem has been solved. Challenges are now on the correct model that you should choose based on budget, efficiency, speed, etc. So more or less, according to the customer needs and with discussions with him, these challenges can be solved. The other translation of your question regarding challenges for the teams of the customer to embrace this new technology, for the sales team, it's easy to embrace because sales team is augmented by this technology. It's not replaced. All these tools help them to do their work faster, more efficiently, etc. The customer experience teams, it's another story. I mean, this should be skilled or upskilled, because as with ATMs that I had yesterday in banks, you first had an ATM and 10 people in the bank, and now you have an ATM and 1 person in the bank. So this is something that should. This is a real challenge for the organizations, and the personnel.
Thank you very much. We're a bit over time, but that concludes the discussion. So if there's any questions from the audience you would like to address to any of our speakers, yeah, please state your name and your organization if you want, and your question and the person you would like to address it to.
Sure. My name is Ion Petropoulos from Zone 01 Athens. Very interesting talk. At some point, you mentioned data privacy and security. How are your companies ensuring the protection of customer data and confidentiality, since it's a crucial issue? And so, can you elaborate a little bit on the measures that you take in order to ensure and make sure that there's no breach or misuse of that?
Yeah, this is a great question. Achilles, you take that?
Yeah, so the biggest issue with data security is that if you don't know where your data is, you can't actually protect your data, right? So I think it's all about data governance. How do I make sure that I know exactly where all of my data is? So data accountability. If you choose 2 different ways to be able to build your data strategy, there is a build it your own, and there is a go for a SaaS offering like Snowflake. Both have their pros and cons, but I'll talk about why I think that build it your own, and to answer your point, how do I make sure that my data is secure when it comes to my data governance? If you build it your own, you're using 1,000 different products, and you have a data engineering team or a lot of human resources who are currently using a lot of manual labor to be able to secure and make sure that all of your data is accountable for. As you can understand, that costs time, it costs a lot of money, but it's also very, very dangerous. So what is happening is that they're creating those data pipelines to move data from one application to another, or move data to BI reporting tool, and those are very, very fragile. So it's very, very easy to be able to lose data or duplicate data or not know where your data is. If you have an all-inclusive SaaS offering, what you do is, first of all, you are halving the responsibility of your data security with the service provider. Snowflake, for example, provides out-of-the-box security. So when you have your data within the Snowflake platform, what happens is that there's automatic security features like auto-encrypting, but also at the same time you have user-based access to who has access to your data. And your data engineering team has a complete control of who owns that data and who has the capability to alter them, move them, do whatever they need with them. So I think the number one key topic about having a data strategy that can actually ensure that you know exactly where your customer data is and how do you use them is by going through an all-inclusive managed service like Snowflake. The last thing that I want to add to that is how do teams share data within the organization, or how do they share data with external and third parties? So with Snowflake, you actually can share data with third parties without actually giving them ownership of that data. So if you think about how we send data to other organizations, it's through WeTransfer, it's through emails, it's through all that way. In that aspect, what you do is you are giving a third party the ability to own a copy of your data or your customer's data. And then that's where all the cybersecurity problems start. So we have a technology that you can actually point back to the data warehouse, Snowflake data warehouse or the data cloud, and you're able to showcase the third party's completely anonymized customer data that they can use for their own use. We also have the Snowflake marketplace where you can augment your data sets, and we have almost more than 8,000 providers, where you can actually, with a click of a button, like in the App Store, click on the data set that you like. Let's say, for example, weather data or customer data or retail data, or let's say, for example, a company wants to know how many people go through an airport. So the Heathrow, for example, would have a data set there that they actually sell or they make available to the companies, and there's no data transfer. So to conclude, the complete data governance ensures that you have data linearity and data accuracy, and that doesn't open you to data security issues.
Perfect. Thank you very much. And maybe, yes, one more question.
Hi. Ion Tsakonas, I'm with venture capital with Piraeus, among others. The question is to do with the cost of these models. There's billions of dollars being spent on NVIDIA chips. You may have noticed NVIDIA is $1 trillion market cap company now, and there's LLMs going to be created for multiple uses. The issue is how are these investments going to get amortized, and have you looked into the cost benefit of, let's say, a call center agent's going to cost the company $1 and $1.50 to respond to a call, but then if you put it through an LLM and it starts hallucinating, it may end up costing $5. So how much thought has been given into that aspect of using that technology, which is very sexy and all that, but in the end of the day, companies are going to have to go back to their CFOs and their CEOs and say, hey, this is a good investment for us, and here's why.
Fotis?
Sure. So I'll reply to the part of developing applications with GenAI and whether there is a ROI on that. So there are 4 basic costs when you develop an OpenAI, for example, application. The first cost is the token cost for input and output. The second cost is usually the embeddings cost that you need to do on your text to store them in a vector database. The third cost is usually the translation cost, because it might not be English, it might be different languages, and you need to translate to English to get better results, as an example. And the fourth cost is all the cloud services that you will need to support the solution, like search, like app service, like different services. Out of these costs, the most dangerous to skyrocket is the tokens cost. All the other is more or less predictable, and you can set them, and they are pretty predictable. But the tokens cost is can be pretty high, especially if you start with prompt engineering. You give 4,000, 20,000 words together with every prompt to the model. And the thing is this, that at least from the startups that are developing these applications that I see in Estonia, in Poland, in Czech, etc. In the beginning, you are not sure about the ROI. So you create a call center bot, let's say as an example, but you don't know how the customers are going to behave, how often they're going to use it, how many prompts they will do per day, etc. So you just do a guesstimation in the beginning. And you start small, it might explode. Or the opposite way. You buy a lot of reserved capacity and nothing happens and you pay for all these services. So here, the only way is just to start small, experiment, and if it makes sense to go bigger, but you always need to have the worst pricing and cost scenario in your mind. So what if your application skyrockets and you get 100% of your users using it? Can you support this cost? This is the only viable way to do the exercise at the moment. This is what most of the startups are doing.
Perfect. Thank you. Efthimios, do you want to
yes,
any closing remarks?
Yes, I want to add something also on this matter of costs. People think that GenAI applications are maybe expensive because they have in mind OpenAI and their most expensive models. The good thing with trivial augmented generated applications is that they are not using the knowledge of OpenAI or LLM. They're using the reasoning capabilities. Reasoning capabilities are existing very good level also in very cheap models. So if, for example, install a Llama 2 7B in your premises or in the cloud, you have the same, more or less, cognitive capabilities of OpenAI with a fraction of the cost. So if you have in mind only OpenAI, costs are considerable, but there are alternatives that are very feasible to implement without high costs.
Perfect. Thank you. We'll be out of time. Thanks for staying with us. I want to thank all the speakers and you for joining us, and hope you enjoy the rest of the conference.
Thank you.
Thank you.